Everyone, good evening. Sagot ako na? Good evening. My name is Dorell, and tonight I'll be talking about Strapi. So, Strapi is as they want into this tagline. They It's about designing APIs fast and managing content easily. So before they have this mission of creating and deploying and managing API easily. So that was back in 2015, and it's on the same month today. I mean this same month, which is currently October, and they have this vision. Originally, it was kind of limited to developers. So the key thing here is that not just developers, but expert developers. Now they have created these APIs for everyone. So instead of like in 2015, they kind of when it was first released, they kind of told the world that it's a Node. I mean, yeah, it's a Node.js framework. But now, rather, it's an ecosystem for creating APIs, which is not by the way, not just APIs, but also for other people, not just for developers, but if you're a creator or you're a designer or whatever it is that your role, you can take part of this ecosystem and make use of it. So how does Strapi create or make things easier? All right. So first is they have this kind of like simple content modeling. So as you can see here on the screen, this is a screenshot from their content type builder. Here in this example or in this screenshot, you're able to see modeling an example like an article for a blog post. So you have there a title, which is a text field, a body, a rich text, a published ad, which is a date time, and a status for like enumeration for strings like draft, um, published, and unpublished. Those are kind of the status that goes through a certain blog post. All right. The second thing is that this is what they're kind of selling, right? So once you create this content model, you have this articles, REST APIs that you can access automatically, and you have like everything from the get request to the post request to the put request and delete request. So we'll be have a demo with that later, but just imagine it is like this. And also have like this GraphQL, which is really cool. So not just you have only a REST API, but you also have a GraphQL. Wow. And lastly, for like not developers, non-developers, like if you are a product owner or an editor, an author, your marketing department. So you have this dashboard to manage the content automatically. So we can add a new article here based from the content model that you just created. So here, so yeah, that's it. All right. So yeah, this is kind of like a question, or rather, so like, is Strapi a WordPress alternative? So according to their website, they have actually this link right down below. If you click it there, you have this Strapi versus WordPress, and yeah, Strapi is the modern WordPress in the ecosystem, in the Jamstack ecosystem. Speaking of Jamstack, Strapi is perfect for your Jamstack. So if you have a Strapi as front end agnostic, so if you have been using these frameworks or library front end libraries, then I don't know if you're familiar with Gatsby or Next, or even I don't know with Angular, but there's only Angular here for the flavors. So Gatsby and Next are React, and Next.js is Vue. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. Let's do a quick demo. So to get started, you just issue this command npx create dash strapi dash app my project dash dash quick start. Quick start will is a flag that you can use to like allow Strapi to um, do the the choices themselves. So it's kind of like the preferred. So in quick start you have just yeah, for the database you're going to use the PostgreSQL, but you also have this uh, um, flexibility to use other databases. All right, so let's do a quick demo, as I said, and I'll just jump to my terminal, and I'm just gonna copy this. I don't know if I can copy this, but let's type it. Create Strapi app, and I'm gonna make this UE Strapi because we're kind of like using Uncaught exception here. And instead of issuing quick start, I'm just gonna walk you through the options that will be available when you create a Strapi project. All right, so I'm just gonna hide this for a moment. Oops. All right, so here, right? So here you kind of like the quick start. If I pass in this quick start, will not be this quick start menu will be selected here. But let's do the custom manual settings here so that we will know what we're getting into. So click here, custom. I'll choose custom, by the way. So here, you from here on, you select the database that you want to use. If you have Mongo, which I have here locally, you can use that. I also have MySQL here. I don't think I have Postgre, but the beauty about SQLite is that it creates a file on the project, and let's make a use of this. So we have like we don't have to rely on this. Perhaps I haven't enabled them, so I'm just gonna use SQLite here. Okay. And here it's asking the file location of the database that it's going to be saving or we'll be using here. Now, while this is creating, it's going to take a while or maybe like 2 to 3 minutes depending on my internet and my computer right now. So let's proceed with my slides. I have like this one. So what makes Strapi awesome? What makes Strapi awesome? So Strapi is first is open source. So Strapi, if you're into Hacktoberfest lately, Strapi is with Oktoberfest. So if you want to contribute to Strapi, you can do that. So basically, they have this lots of issues, and mostly the features that were added or the bug fixes that were fixed were also contributions from the people around the community. So we have this Strappy. All right. Second thing is that you own the code base and the data. So what does that mean is that the database, everything that's data, you have control over that. You also own the files of the app rather than the popular services that we're kind of using. The data is from there. Oh, what's happened to my monitor? It's gone. Oh, sorry. All right, and it's developer centric. All right, so we have this. As you can see earlier, we kind of able to choose the database. So here we have this multi-databases support, have here GraphQL, and it's also made 100% with JavaScript, and you also have some support for webhooks. And another thing is that they have this auto-generated documentation, care of Swagger, and you also have this ACL, access control list, with built-in authentication and permissions. So this is really cool. Yep. So I think this is my last slide. So let's. Oh no, there's still thing, but let's go back and check whether it's done. All right, it's done. Let me go to this one and let's finish this quick. So customizability. So here, if you look at the content model and the REST API, you can, it's flexible enough that you can change it anytime, or you change things or add fields. It's up to you. All right. You also have like this GraphQL. So if you're a fan of GraphQL, it makes things easier, right? Rather than using REST. So simple right here, you have your articles. You can like, if an article is associated to a user, then you can also query that user directly rather than in REST, probably issuing to network requests to just to get the user information, right? So it's pretty cool. Solves the, overfetching, yeah, or I don't know, forget the term, but I hope that was right. I was saying that right. All right. And you also have this customizable dashboard. So whatever it is that you want it to look like, this is actually customizable in some way. But you have this very visual, cool default that it's there for you. All right. So let's go to our demo. I'm so excited to show this to you. All right. So it says here that I should go from this directory. All right, and I'll start yarn develop. All right, let's do this. All right. Oh no, it's gonna take a while. I should have run this earlier. All right, so here, as you can see, Webpack is building the assets for the admin dashboard. And once it's done, it should load my browser. Just a few minutes. Okay, guys, tell me a joke. um, that's it. 66, 66, 7, 7. Oh, 66. That's it. It's weird. It goes back to 66. 67, 68, 68, 67. Oh, that's really weird. Anyway, so everything, the modules here are compiled, the plugins, the services, the libraries, whatever it is. So this is only a one-time setup, but once it's done, it's gonna be real fast when you open it back up. So here it was compiled in approximately 45 seconds. And right, oh, okay, so here from the screen you were presented. Here, this is the one-time setup for setting up the admin user for this Strapi app that we're using. So here, from here, I'll just gonna use my credentials as usual. Um, no, I hope it's just a password. Yep. Just gonna copy and paste this. Oh, it's not working. My copy and paste is not working. Ooh, ooh, okay. So we'll just type a password that will hopefully will work. Right. All right. So here, as I said, they have this kind of content model that you have here. So here you have us. Can I zoom it out so that the responsive areas will work? Right. All right. So the screen is not really cramped up, so it looks beautiful now. So earlier I was able to show you the article collection, right? So right now, why not we create an and I want you to imagine that we're creating a blog post in our app or whatever it is, a blog functionality. So here, for example, if I have to do that, I will create a collection named article. So here I'm gonna say article and I'll say continue. And for the title field, I'm gonna choose the text field here. So I'm gonna say the name should be title, and it's a short text, right? So like, it's just a few words. So it's gonna be like that. And I want to make sure that this is a required field. So the user should fill out that one. Now I'm gonna add for the body of my post or an article, I'm gonna use a text field, I mean a rich text field, and I'm gonna also make sure that it's a required field. All right, one more thing, I'll be adding a publish at date, which signifies when was this article published. So I'm not going to use the created at date because I want to have that flexibility. For example, I was writing this in the future, or maybe I'm going to have to backtrack the little dates from the past. So I'm just going to use this. I'm also going to make sure that probably this is a required field. All right. Last thing is that I'll have this status. So this is like an enumeration. For example, if you have in our case, we have this draft. In the next line, the second option would be published, and the last option would be unpublished. Right now, if I go to advanced settings, I want this to be a required field also, but I also want that the default value should be equal to draft. So when I create this, automatically the draft will be selected. Now I think I'm done, so I'm just gonna click finished here, all right? And I'm gonna save this, click the save button, and this collection type should appear here on the top side on before the users. So it's right here, it's done. So I have here the articles, and now I can add an article and say, hey, this is my first post, blog post. All right. And hey, this is a UA live top. All right. And also I'm gonna click here the publish ad date and say it's October 10 at this very moment, so 9:26. So 9:26. 9:26. All right. And yeah, and you can see that the status is already configured to draft. So I'm gonna click save here, right there, right there, right now. You have this beautiful content management system that you are able to manage or work with. Now I'm going to show you how this collection be used for the API. So here I have here my base path for my development server. Probably you want to use that. If you hosting this, there should be the URL for the domain, and you're gonna say articles, and pretty sure you'll see this, right? So it says here that the status is 403, which means it's forbidden. So by default, Strapi protects your REST API endpoints by default. So here, the way to access this is to log in. So log in with the user with an exchange for a JWT, and you're gonna use that token to issue a request, and this will work. But for now, let's make it simple. Let's allow our public users, or say anyone, to be able to access this endpoint. So I'm gonna go in my settings here, and I'm gonna click roles, and I'm gonna go to public. So this is like the opposite of the unauthenticated users. So I'm gonna click the public, and I'm gonna scroll down, and here you will see that the created model or collection that we just created earlier is right here. Now we have here some, checkbacks that we can use to, kind of like enable the settings or the endpoints or operations that we're going to use. For this articles, this is a get request, and it corresponds to the find. So this is fetches, as you can see here, all the articles. And if I want to also enable fetching by ID, so I'm going to click here, find one. So if I enable this, then able to update as well and create or delete or count. All right, so just I'm just gonna make this publicly open so anyone can use this, and I'm gonna hit save. All right, and it's updated, and let's try again. All right, so you can see right now we have an API, and it's super fast and allows you have this flexibility of toggling permissions here, what operations are publicly accessible or not, etc., etc. All right. So, but maybe you're asking, how about some complex scenarios where um, we have kind of a relationship for an author or for the article and the author. So here we'll be able to do that by adding here another field in our article and have this relation. So this refers to a collection type, and here we're gonna choose the user here, which is right here, the users here, and let's choose here. So you have this available things, and you can click here, and basically I'm sorry, in your database modeling, like you have this article belongs to many users. That doesn't quite sound right. So you have it. A user has many articles. So in the article collection, it will add a user field which points to the user. And in the user field, it will also add this articles field which points to the many articles it has. So let's try to add that. And, and let's click finish. And let's hit save. And there you go. So here I'm gonna modify this. First, let's create a user so that we can have like a user that we can add to our article. So we're gonna create. Um, this is kind of crazy, right? All right, and I'm gonna say confirm, and I'm gonna say this is an authenticated user. All right, it's not blocked. Save this. All right, I have my user here, and I'm gonna click the article, and I'm gonna you know add the user here. So maybe let's say that this was the author of this article. So it was me, Dorell James. So I'm gonna click save here, and let's try to see if the changes are here in the REST API that we have. And pretty sure you have it here, an extra field plus the information that we have here on the API. Okay, so okay, one last thing I'm gonna show you because I think I'm taking too much time is let's try the GraphQL, which is pretty cool. I'd say it's a pretty cool thing. So let's just gonna go here in general and marketplace, and let's scroll down, and let's here you can see here. Oops, yeah, I was able to click that. Okay, all right. So you can see here this is the description of the plugin, which is pretty bad. But should be a GraphQL, like, well, whatever. I don't know. So we're gonna click here, download, and it might take a while for this to install, but let's just wait, and it's gonna be really cool. Um, Also, if you can see right now, it's kind of blurry, but you have this documentation. So if I download this and do the same thing with GraphQL, it will allow us to generate a documentation for all our REST endpoints using Swagger. So it's pretty cool and have to, kind of like do things. It's like almost doing no code here. Okay, but I'm pretty sure you have some questions on customization, right? In the API later, but I'm pretty sure I hope that I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to answer that. Oops, it's taking a while. Let's see the logs. Let's go back. Installing GraphQL. Let's try to refresh this forcefully, and let's hope that it's installed. All right, it's not installed. Let's try that again. And see, it's here. It's installing GraphQL. It's kind of weird. Should be like straightforward. All right. File created, string, so many things, right? And it was able to restart back. And let's try to refresh this. I hope it's added. So it's already installed. Yep. So now we're accessing the articles endpoint via this URL. Now if I say GraphQL and then open a new tab, have this GraphQL playground, and pretty much this is like my previous example that I tried. That if you go here in the docs, you have this, the articles and the fields that you can use, including the permissions for the user. So let's try that. And I have sent also the article by ID, etc. So you have the passing of the ID and all. So let's try that. Let's do this. I'm just gonna minimize this for a while. I'll zoom in again. So articles, and let's get the ID. Let's get the title. Let's also get the user while we're here, and get an email or probably the username, and we can issue this. And pretty much we have everything that we need. All right. So that's it for a quick playground for the um, GraphQL. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer. And I hope that the stream is working. Oh, yeah, it's working. All right. So, what should I do? Should I stop the screen? I think I'm done. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's It.
And thank you,
Yeah.
Dorell.
Thank you, Dorel.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Faye.
Yeah. So.
Any
so,
questions?
any questions? That's it for Strapi. Our speaker is Dorel.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Eman, go
um,
shoot.
is it possible to assign multiple to have multiple relationships to the same collection? For example, in my article, I want both an author and a reviewer, which both points to
Yeah,
a collection. Is
yeah,
it
pretty
possible to
much.
do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you have like I'm not sure. Should I share screen once again, or are you seeing my screen? Um,
You
yeah,
can
here.
share your screen again, I think.
I guess I'm still sharing my screen, right? So
No,
so here. No, no, really? Okay.
I I
No,
think you tried again and then it's gone.
no, not.
I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. So
Okay, let's.
um,
All right.
all right. So yeah. So here so let's go back, right? So based from your question, you're gonna need to add another like a reviewer here, right? So I'm gonna click this, and I'm gonna say a user here. So in the article, I'm gonna add like whatever. Article has many. Gonna use the user again and say reviewers. All right.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So you have this kind of like visibility, however you want it. So oh no, this should be reviewers, right? And user is article. User has many articles. It's kind of weird. Sometimes I'm get confused with this, but I'm not sure how to able to translate that properly based on your requirement. But you have this actually a lot of you have this really flexible. Like this is like a volume system, has and belongs to many users. So if like you can actually create another content model here, say reviewers or however you want it. Like basically, you can do just anything. And they actually have this also like a single type and a component that can be reused in any of this collection types, which is pretty cool. But I just leave it out for the meantime. So let's focus on the what's really essential here with the collections type. And I hope that I was able to answer your question. Did I? All
Yep.
right. Yeah. Thank you. Hey.
Any other questions?
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah. Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yes.
if you go to the Strapi na admin page where
Yeah.
you see all the collection types, can you specify like roles who can access only certain like content types in the Strapi admin page, or
Yeah.
you cannot?
Here. Yes. Yeah. Here. So I think I was able to show this earlier, but let's get into that. So here, if you go to settings, so earlier, this articles wasn't created, right? But we all created this. Okay. My mind is jumping. Let's minimize this for a while. All right. So if you go to settings and you go here to user and permissions plugin and you click roles, so you have this two types of roles, but you can also add a new role if you want. So by default, these are the few. So authenticated, meaning these are like the users who log in, and they're gonna be using the JWT or the token so to make authenticated requests. And this is the public. So for example, I have here the public and I can click, I mean the authenticated. So I can allow like for everyone who's logged in, you can, you know, this endpoint for just finding the articles. That's all you can do. And I'm just, forbid you from doing this by leaving these checkboxes right here empty or not selected, say. So if I click this
uh,
thing, yeah, so yeah. You can also like
uh,
upload, you can also like, for example, there's also a media library here that you can use to, oh no, oops, sorry. Tell 3, I hope it logs in, yeah. So we have this media library here where you can upload assets, but you can also control here from the settings whichever the user can do. So in upload, maybe in the public or the affiliate user, you can enable the upload settings or whatever role that you create probably, or I don't know. But you have all the flexibility here automatically for you, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. All right. So,
Yes. Those roles apply to the API endpoints, right? If I understand correctly. My question is more like access or like roles and permissions to the admin page. So for example, I want only Eman to only add, be able to add articles from the admin page, and someone else to only have access
admin
to,
page.
yeah, the page that you were showing earlier.
Oh, okay. So here. Oh, okay. So yeah, sorry, I wasn't able to pick it up. Uh, so actually, here the user here. Yeah. Yeah. Currently, right now, the administration plugin. I mean, this the one you see right now. Uh, isn't really capable of customizing the dashboard as the moment. So
Mhm.
if I add you a user here, Arnelle, like Arnelle Balane at gmail.com, you can sign your password there. There. So you'll be having an account and you're able to log in my Strapi app. However, I cannot, you know, for example, I don't want you to be able to access the articles, so I can't do that right now. But you can actually do that if you code it, like customize it using code, but in using the dashboard as of the moment can't.
I see.
So
Got it. Thank you.
okay, hey, so do you
Any
have
other question,
any
guys?
questions, guys?
Ako, ako,
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
Kuya Kevin, shoot.
madawag na gid.
Oh,
Um, one question regard sa DB side. Do we have a way to add indices for the fields?
Indices for the fields. Okay, that's a very good question. Let me pull up my editor here so you can see the file structure. Okay. So here, I hope I was able to like. This is the model that we created or the collection we created earlier, and it has this configuration for this routes. We have this the routes, but more importantly in the services here. No, in the model settings here. You have this kind of like JSON thing. So from here, this is the kind of like the structure. I'm not sure I remember correctly, but here you can also like specify the indices. We can always refer to the docs for that, and the docs is at Strapi.io. Sorry, I was unable to show you this. Documentation. Wow, wow, wow. Get started. Why is it not in the menu? All right. It's having a here. It's here in the resources. So like here. So like I'm not sure how to answer that. I think I don't know how to answer that, but it's pretty sure it's gonna be here somewhere. Or gonna ask. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, Kevin. I can't answer your question. I don't know how to do that, but pretty much like in Strapi, they made it like configurable. So I'm pretty sure somewhere out there, like it's not really a a unique thing. So probably a lot of users have requested that. But if it's not there yet, the feature is not there yet. You can always refer to the roadmap that they have here. I've clicked here the product and the roadmap. So these are things that they were considering and adding to Strapi, validations, all these kinds of things. So many things. Yeah, this is the administration of the user interface. Uh, this is kind of like branding, and this is the administration for the menu right here. Arnell, I think this will solve your problem. Grant access, as a moderator,
Nice.
driver. Yeah, so it's gonna be there, but it's gonna take a while since this is like a community effort as well, and they have a small team to do this. But actually, they got a new funding, so for sure, this gonna be kind of like pushed forward. They have this, TypeScript, multi-tenancy, and so many things. So I'm sorry, by Kevin, I can't answer your question. I'm not an expert, but should be there. I hope so.
It's okay.
Hi, thank you for.
If not manualon yun.
All right, bye. By Ice, you have a
Okay. Anyone? Some more questions?
question.
No?
All right,
All right. I
all right.
think that's it for Dorell
Thank you very much.
and Strapi.
Yeah.
So I think we still got time for Kuya Arnelle's. Okay. So let's continue. Let's proceed to talk about. Let's proceed on talking about Chrome extensions. So you can start, Kuya Arnelle.
Okay. Um, hello everyone. So for me tonight, I'll be sharing about building Chrome extensions. So most of us were hopefully familiar with Chrome extensions. Maybe we've used some before or currently. We use Chrome extensions for a lot of different reasons. So some of them are for like productivity purposes or for development purposes or just to give or like to improve the experience of using Chrome as a browser. So today we will take a look at how we can build our own Chrome extensions. So before we begin, let's talk. So this is the extensions page. This is where you see all your available extensions. Enable, disable them. This is at Chrome /extensions. So let's just dive into it right away. A Chrome extension, like the heart and soul of a Chrome extension, is a manifest file. So it's just a JSON file with some values, key value pairs in it. So at a very minimum, you need this information about your Chrome extension. So the manifest version, which is like the version of your manifest file, I mean, which like format or like which like manifest file like standard it's following, and the name of your Chrome extension. So in this case, we'll just make a random Chrome extension that doesn't really do anything. So you give it a description and a version. So with this, you can basically load this in your browser already. So how do you load your like development, I mean your Chrome extension while in development? You go to the Chrome extensions page and you enable developer mode here. So once you enable that, you will see this new button. So we choose load unpack. This will allow you to navigate. This will ask you to navigate to your extensions, to your project directory, and then choose select. So if your project is like stored somewhere, like downloads, so make sure you navigate inside the project directory and then choose select. So once you do that, you will see that your Chrome extension is now here with the name and the description and the version, and there will be an indicator that it's an unpacked or development version of your extension with this orange icon and your Chrome extensions icon. So this looks ugly, so let's replace the icon. So I actually prepared the icon already. So to do that, we just add it in the manifest. So we add the icons, and you can provide multiple sizes of your icons. So the one I have here is 48. So I'll put the size here, which is 48, and then the path to the icon, which is 48. So you can provide many sizes here. Chrome will select the best size to use in the UI and everywhere. So we save that and refresh. So icon is now applied. Yay! We now have a Chrome extension that doesn't do anything. So there are many parts or like different kinds of Chrome extensions. So the ones that we're usually familiar with are the ones that appear here. So here in the Chrome UI, there's going to be a drop down that lists all of your available extensions. So these extensions that appear here are called it's either page page actions or browser actions. So so those are two kinds. Um, but there's a little bit of difference between them. So page actions only apply for certain pages. For example, if you have a Chrome extension that only works when you are in facebook.com, for example. So that's a page action. On the other hand, browser actions are available all the time. So for example, here I have the one password Chrome extension. So that means I can open this extension with whatever, regardless of which site I am in. So those are those two things, page action and browser action. The other thing is there's this thing called content scripts. So these content scripts are the JavaScript files that are actually injected in the page that the user is viewing. So if you use Chrome extensions that sort of manipulate the UI, does something with the page that you are doing, that's most likely a content script running in the background. So they get injected into the page by your Chrome extension. And the third thing that the other part of the Chrome extension is the background script. I don't have a page for it here, but they run in the background and they receive events. For example, they're sort of like the back end of your Chrome extension that manages all the events. For example, when someone adds a page to your bookmark, it will trigger an event. If you want to detect that, you do that in the background script. So background script, they basically you do all the event management. One way I use it generally is for for message passing. So when I want some data to be passed from my content script to the page action or browser action, for example, I pass it through the background script as messages, and it will take care of everything. So we'll take a look at that later. And also there are other kinds which we won't really talk about tonight. There are the override pages. You usually use this to replace like built-in pages in Chrome. For example, the popular ones are the new tab overrides. So for example, if you're using like what's that, like moment, for example, which like replaces your new tab page, so that's a new tab override. And you can also override history, which I've never seen an extension that does this. Bookmark manager, so you can also override the bookmarks page. So those are override pages. And yeah, those did I miss anything? Yeah, those are the different things you can do with Chrome extensions. So just to get started quickly, let's just add a new Chrome extension in our browser actions. So how do you do that? Back to our manifest, everything is configured in the manifest file. We specify a browser. If you want to add a browser action, we just specify a browser action key in the manifest. On the other hand, if you want a page action, you also just specify it as page action. But in our case, we just specify browser action. And in here, you configure, so this is the docs, chrome.browser action. You configure the different properties of your browser actions. You can configure the icon, the title. This is the tooltip. So when you hover on this, for example, a tooltip will appear that is the default title. And then the default pop-up is the page that will be displayed when you click. When you click on the extension. So let's specify all of those. Default action, icon. So the format is the same as the icons config. So let's just copy paste and then default title. Generally, you can just use the Chrome extension name, but if you have anything else you want to say, you can put it here. And then the default pop-up is the HTML page. So let's call it pop-up.html, which we are going to create. I'm just going to display an h1 hello Chrome and save. So that's all we did. We added the browser extension, the browser action config in the manifest.json file, and then created our pop-up.html. Let's see that in action. So every time you like make changes to the Chrome extension, you have to refresh it or reload it. Reload, it will get the latest copy of the code base. And here it is, our Chrome extension. If we click on it, it will display our pop-up.html UI. So here you can do whatever UI you want. Okay, so that's it. Before we continue on that, let's try adding a content script. So content scripts. Content scripts, you can inject multiple scripts. So that's why it's an array. Browser action or page action, there's only one, so you configure it right away. So content script. So if you look at the docs, to see what we can configure here, here. So content scripts, they run. You can specify which URLs they will be injected on. So in this example, this content script will only be injected for New York Times websites. And if the current URL matches this, then this CSS file and then this JS file will be injected. So let's do that. So there's our matches. For our example, we want it to run on every page for now, on every secure page, let's just say. So we just specify this pattern. So this will match every URL, every secure URL. And then let's just inject a JavaScript file. Let's call it contentscript.js, which we are still going to create. And let's just console.log. Hello from content script. Okay, and let's refresh the extension. And let's just go to YouTube. Okay, no, let's just refresh this page. And if I open DevTools, you will see that my content script has been injected successfully. So here's the message that we logged. So that's content script. This content script will have access to the DOM of this page. So you can do change the style of the page, for example. So yeah, everything is up to you. And now let's go to the background script. Background script, as I said, they mostly manage events. So let's specify our background script using the background key in our manifest file. And actually don't remember what the key is here. I think it's called scripts. Let's call it background.js. We'll know if it fails because it won't work. And for now, we specify that our background script is persistent. So this is sort of our requirement for Chrome extensions. By default, background scripts should not be persistent, meaning they might be shut down when they're not being used to save browser or device resources, and then they will be started again when there are new events that it needs to handle. So it's sort of like a service worker maybe. And so when's the only time you should use a persistent script? It's when you are intercepting HTTP request. For example, when you're building ad blockers, you need to be constantly checking the URLs being requested to see if you need to block them or not. So I think that's the only reasonable use case for persistent background scripts. Otherwise, background script should not be persistent. So let's try this. Let's create our background script. JS, and we're just going to log something also. Hello from background script. Save it. Refresh our extension. Okay, it worked. If your extension has a background script, the extension's UI will display this, allowing you to inspect the logs of your background script. So if we click this, and so here is the DevTools console for our background script. So as you can see, it's all running fine. So basically, those are the three components normally you will see on Chrome extensions. And what can you do with Chrome extensions? The Chrome API is actually composed of a lot of powerful APIs that you can use. So you can do things like managing your bookmarks and syncing data between your devices using storage API here somewhere at the bottom here. So whatever you want, the APIs that you are going to use will most likely depend on what you are trying to build also. So just check the available APIs here. If something is already if there's an available API for something that you want to build. So for our example, let's try to use bookmarks. So what I had in mind is let's try to create a Chrome extension that will display, so that will, every time we add a page or bookmark, we can display that the title of that page in here, for example. So just a quick example to use different APIs. So for that, we are going to use bookmarks API. So everything here is like well documented, so you should be fine. So here, a lot of these APIs will require some permissions in order for you to use them. So for this example, bookmarks requires the bookmarks permission. So since we're going to use it, let's add it to our manifest. So just add a permissions key here. Oops. And oops, it's an array. And then paste bookmarks. Then now we have permission to use bookmarks. So see, what we want to do is every time our user adds a bookmark, a page to their bookmarks, we want to know about it, right? So since adding a page or bookmark is an event, there should be documentation for that here. So there should be something like on created. So let's click on that. This is fired when a bookmark or folder is created. So this is probably what we want. So you can just copy this code and put it. So since this is an event, we put it in our background script because that's what the background script is for. So make sure we are in the background script. Let's paste it here. So this is the event, and this is the API that we're using. And then to add a listener, you call add listener. Add listener, the parameters depends on the API. So let's refer to the documentation. So oops. It's saying that the callback function will receive an ID and a node. So that's good. So ID and a bookmark. So for now, let's just console.log ID and bookmark. And let's refresh the Chrome extension. So let's say I want to bookmark this. So I will press Command D. Oops, I need to refresh it first so that the Chrome extension is reloaded. So let's clear it. I already refreshed it. Okay, let's add it to the bookmark. And okay, I'm looking at the wrong logs. I should be looking at this log. So you see, here's the console.log that we called from our background script. So here's the ID of a bookmark, and then here's the node. Here's the bookmark node. So here we can get the title. So that's cool. We are going to use that later. And now our next problem will be how do we pass this title to this pop-up, right? So pop-up, or like these pop-ups like page actions or browser actions, you can't send messages to them. So what we can do is we make the browser action or this pop-up send the message to the background script asking for the latest page or like the latest bookmark. So how do we do that? So we need to add a script. So by default, you can't do inline scripts because of some content security policies, although you can configure content security policies here, but we won't do that. So we'll just use an external script. So let's call it popup.js, which we will create. Popup.js. Okay. So as I was saying, we need this pop-up to ask the background script for the latest page. So how do we send that message to the background script? We do it using chrome.runtime.send message. So this is basically the messaging channel in Chrome APIs, Chrome extensions. So let's just send a random message for now. So here we're sending a message. How do we receive it in the background script? We do that by listening for another event called onMessage. And it will give you a message and a sender. So this is so if the message coming from like the content script, the sender will be like the tab where the message came from, and the third parameter is a send response. So this is like the callback function. So every time you want to send a response back to the sender, which is in our case the pop-up, um, just call send response. So let's test that real quick. Um, let's console.log message, and then let's send a response. Let's say the title for now. So how do we receive this response? In our pop-up script or in our browser action, the second parameter will be like a callback function for our response. So we get a response here, and let's console.log response. So let's see if everything is wired up correctly. Okay, so we refresh our background script. That's cool. And let's open this. So Chrome extension. Okay, that's fine. Let's inspect the pop-up by right-clicking on it. Console. So as you can see, we see in our so the this dev tools on the left is for the pop-up. So here we receive the title, the response, and here on the right is the background script. This is the message that we received. So that's cool. So for the message, we can basically pass any like serializable data here. So we can just pass like an object, for example, which is generally like a good practice because there will only be one event listener for all messages in your background script. So you need to like distinguish between all those different kind of messages. So what I usually like to do is like add a type for the message, or you can use it, you can name it whatever you want. So let's call it like get latest bookmark. So let's just call it like that. And in our background script, we can check for that type. So if message type is that, then we do this and return a title. That's cool. Let's do some code stuff to display the title in the pop-up. So document.query selector. In our HTML, we have an H1, so we just replace this text. Query selector h1 dot text content equals response for now. So this document that we're this document that query selector calls that we're trying to do here, this will be executed like in the context of the pop-up. So it will actually be querying for elements inside our pop-up. So that's cool. Oh, it refreshed even though I didn't refresh. That's interesting. Okay, let's try. Okay, let's refresh the background script and check it. Okay, so it worked. It was able to send a request to the background script and then display the response. But it's not exactly the response. It's not exactly the latest bookmark. So what we want is to use this bookmark as the response for this. So how do we do that? So normally with regular scripts, we can just add a global variable, right? Like latest, okay, latest bookmark. But this won't really work in the context of Chrome extensions because as I mentioned earlier, background scripts are not persistent, so they could be like suspended or killed anytime when they are not in use. So you will lose this state if you do it here. So what we can do is store the data in. So if store this data in another storage mechanism. So if we are doing this in like normal script in normal HTML pages, we would normally use like local storage or IndexedDB, something like that. And there's an equivalent for Chrome APIs, and that is the storage API somewhere here. Storage. So storage API allows you to store and retrieve data just similar to how you use local storage with some extra features because the storage API in Chrome extensions can be automatically synced and all these other extra features. But for now, to use it, we need an extra permission. So we'll add that to our manifest. And my camera is dead. So no video for now. So I'm just going to paste it here. So now we have permission. Now we have permission to use storage. So what we want to do is we want to store the latest title in storage. So let's do that by running from that storage, that local. Let's look at the docs, for example. So this is how you store key value pairs locally, meaning they won't be synced. If you want your key values to be synced, um, you do you call like storage.sync. Um, okay, let's try it. Local.set. You pass in an object, call it title, which is the bookmark.title, and later on we get it. So storage.local.get. So we pass in the keys that we want to get. That's the title, and we get a result object. And we actually want to send. Oops. We want to send that result object as our response. Result.title. So one more thing to note about Chrome extensions with event handlers and Chrome extensions is they need to be synchronous. So meaning you can't do things like async here because it won't work. So because if you're doing something async, for example, you're returning like a promise, the connection between your background script and like your page action, for example, or content script could be like closed prematurely, and then when you try to send back a response, you won't be able to. But a way around it is to return true. So by returning true in your event in your event handler, that tells like the platform that you will be sending a response at a later time. So now you can do async stuff like this because this callback function will be executed later on. So let's see if everything works. Let's actually console.log this so that we can debug. Okay, let's save, let's refresh, and let's refresh. And let's open DevTools for the background script. Okay, it's running. And what I will do is I will try to bookmark this. So, oops, it's already bookmarked, so it didn't create. Let me remove it first. Create. So it should have created it. And if I try to open this, so it will, the pop-up will send a message to the background script asking for the latest bookmark, and we should be able to get it. So yeah, everything worked. So basically, that's how you create Chrome extensions. So everything else, feature-wise, that's all up to your needs. There's a lot of APIs available that can hopefully add more capabilities to your Chrome extensions. And yes, that's it for me. Thank you.
So, okay, any questions, guys?
I have a question. Why?
Yes,
Go shoot,
bye.
go shoot.
My question is, I'm more interested kind of building a new tab Chrome extensions. I don't know. Like, can you? This is maybe not related to what you discussed, no, but um, I'm just gonna ask if it's possible, like you, like if you're really keen to doing it with a library like React or Vue, can you do that, or
Ah,
just
yes,
limited
actually
with?
you can. So let me share my screen again. Let's take a look at the manifest JSON file. Um,
Mhm,
okay, so as I mentioned, everything is in the manifest JSON file, right? So
mhm,
for example, the pop-up UI that we showed earlier, which is the browser action, which is here.
mhm.
It's you can point it to like the output directory for your like webpack build, for example. So this could be like this/popup.html, which
Oh,
is like the output when you run webpack build on your React app, for example. So you can do things like that because you need to compile them anyway before you load them into your browser. So you can definitely use like React, Vue.js, whatever framework you want,
Mhm.
as long as
Mhm.
you just point your manifest to the correct files. In that case, the output files that were generated by your build. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
it.
All right. Thank you. Bye. So very informative. No? Ganahan ako mo dyan.
So yeah, you mentioned you wanted to build a page override. So
Bring it
just
up.
to build a page override, there's also just a manifest config there. You specify what page you want to override and then which HTML file you want to override that page, for example. So it's very straightforward. Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I have a dumb ask question.
There are no dumb questions.
I kind of have
Yeah.
an idea because it's a list, but I'll still ask it though to be
Go
sure.
shoot.
About content scripts, diba? It was a list, right?
It was a
Then
what?
list, was it
Ah,
a
yeah, yeah,
list?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it was a list. And then if you have two content scripts for one page, like the first content script and then the second. Wait,
Mm-hmm.
so like the first one you listed will be executed and then it will execute the second, right?
Yeah, so basically
So,
the array of scripts that you provide, they will all be injected to the page.
okay, injected.
Yeah.
All right.
So the reason that's that way is so that you can kind of modularize your app if you're into that. So you can break your app into multiple scripts and then just load them, um, inject them to the page. I didn't also mention during the presentation, but content scripts can also be injected dynamically at runtime. So what I showed earlier is like the declarative way of injecting content scripts, which is you do in the manifestation file. But you can also run JavaScript code in the background script that will inject content script. So you can also do that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the people watching?
I have question.
Yes, Kev.
Okay, go, go.
Since we can match content script on where to run, when what website to run,
Yes.
um, can we also filter them out from the website part? So Silvi, if na ko'y ad block,
Ah, good question. I've never really done that. Let me quickly check the docs. Matches as much about blank. Nope. 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 So there's no option. Oh, there is. So there is an exclude matches pattern. I think it's similar to matches, but for excluding URLs. So there's that. You can also just add that to your manifest file. Yep.
I mean sa imong webpage na part, like example na kay, let's say, katong blog, and then you don't want to run
Ah.
certain extensions on your website.
Hmm. Yes, I think you can because is my screen still being shared? Okay, let me just show. Um, because the matches part here also matches the path, right? So for example, I can run it on, let's say, arnellebalane.com, but I can also exclude matches for
Ay,
HTTPS.
dili na.
Ah, yes, unsa man. Okay, so yes, yes, yes,
Like
yes.
example, imong blog ba?
Ah,
So, so can you add some script there na example imong bag, like example na kay extension na ad block,
hmm.
and you don't want like ang tanang mo visit sa imong site to run that ad block extension. So the
Mm,
reverse side ba?
what do you mean the
Like
reverse
di
side?
mo guys,
Huh? Ah. Ah, so okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna try to explain
thank you,
it. So
Eman.
let's say Nakai site, and
But you know,
you don't want a specific extension to run on that site, right? Similar to how ad blockers work, where you can configure which sites to ignore mo nga na ang style.
dili sa sa website nimo itself, dili sa control nimo sa extension. So imong control kay naadapit sa imong personal website.
So you want what? I don't understand. So
Thank
pwede
you,
ka
Eman.
nga any random site out there nga naay some sort of code within them preventing the Chrome extension from running on that site.
Oh, kana.
Okay,
Yes, kana.
finally. Uh, I'm not sure. Let me think. Um, I don't think so because control of kanang when the Chrome extension will run kaya depende lang yun on the content script nga like matches na pattern. So and that is executed like by the browser like based on URLs. So it doesn't really. I'm not sure if I don't think it checks like the content of the site and like other things in the site. So I don't think you can make your site like get ignored by Chrome extensions. But I've never really checked on that. Maybe there's a way. Right now I don't know.
Okay. Okay, maybe
Well, yeah,
nagthink
that's
sa ko for some site that blocks ad blocks like
yeah, yeah.
reverse block for ad block. So how did they actually check if there's ad block on your extension?
hmm But yeah, maybe it's not true that maybe they do it by like sending like a dummy ad request and then see if that got blocked. And then if it did, then there's probably ad block. So I don't think it directly like configures like the extension through the site. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Kevin. Worth checking.
Okay. We need some digging up. So, any other question, guys? Or we're going to wrap this up? Right. Three, two, one. Okay.
Thanks.
So, that's 1 hour and 10 minutes for this session. So, yeah, since the first speaker jumped right into the discussion, so we forgot to mention
Sorry.
the intro, but anyway, it's fine. So we will have the intro in the outro. Anyway, guys, so this is Uncut Exception mini session episode 11, and this mini session is mini virtual version of the regular monthly meetups of software developers or enthusiasts. So this usually lasts for 1 hour with two speakers, but right now we currently have 1 hour and 11 minutes record breaking. So yeah, currently we just drag whomever we can convince to join us. So hi Ate Cleo, shout out. So if you're someone who have a tech you would like to talk about, learn something and would like to reinforce that learning by talking about it or build something and want others to know, want to practice your speaking and demo skills, or you just want to listen and lurk to keep yourself updated on tech, so we got you covered. So if you want to join, just hit up or slide into our Nels DMs. And I guess that's it. That's it for this session. Say goodbye, guys. Unmute.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. See
Bye.
you
Bye.
next
Thank
time.
Bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.